Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Potato, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, how are y'all doing? I hope you're doing well. So some little drama has popped up between Amberlynn and another girl on the internet, Quirkyloverosee, a YouTuber extraordinaire, person who has done a lot of speaking out about feederism and the dangers of feederism, and has made a lot of changes in her life in regards to that, has had a lot of feelings in the past about Miss Tommy Salami, and they got into a little bit of drama. And so I want to go over some of that today and really highlight the ways that Amberlynn is crazy. It's just like, girl, get a grip. Girl, calm down. Girl, please be serious. And also share a little bit about what I know about Miss Quirkyloverosee, because I think that that's also important here, and I don't want it to take away from just like how unhinged Amberlynn's messages to Rosie are. But I do think some folks should be aware about Miss Rosie and her own involvement in mess and desire to be a part of mess. And so I don't want that to take away from Amberlynn's mess, but I think it's an important conversation for us to have. You know, I think it's important to document just like Rosie's involvement in all of this as well. Because honestly, I think Rosie's enjoying this right now because she's getting a lot of positive regard. But in the past, when she's tried to dabble in the old girl world content, she didn't like it as much, so we'll get into that. But let me just set the groundwork for you all, okay? Let me set the groundwork for you all. This all started because Tommy Salami made a new post on her, at the time, public Instagram account, Provoked. P-R-O-V-O-A-K-E-D. And I say at the time public because shortly after this, after people were in her comments pointing out like, girl, just make your Instagram account private, she in fact made her Instagram account private. So Tommy made an Instagram post, and actually it's so funny that whenever I pulled this up, literally it says liked by Quirkyloverosee. But anyways, Tommy Salami made an Instagram post, and it had some screenshots of DMs that she was seemingly being sent by people. And I don't really understand the context for what's going on in the second screenshot, but what's most important is the first screenshot that Tommy shared. In particular, somebody had messaged her and said, Emily, I have a feeling this is fake, just want to confirm. And the person shared a screenshot that they had found on the internet, I'm assuming, because I've seen this screenshot other places as well, like on Twitter, for instance. And this screenshot that was sent to Tommy says, hi, can I ask you what really happened to Rarity since you and Amber are over? And the fake Tommy responded, truthfully, Amber was throwing a tantrum and threw herself down on the couch. She didn't realize Rarity was lying there. We rushed her to the animal hospital, but it was too late and we lost her. And then there's a message that's cut off at the bottom. But that is not true. And Tommy posted this screenshot, and the caption said, what don't people understand about leaving me alone? This is creepy AF. Please get better hobbies. All right, so that's the groundwork you need to know about what Tommy did. But then after that is where Rosie comes in, and Rosie follows Tommy's account, and Rosie commented on this post. In fact, I'm also just going to in general share some tweets from Rosie about everything that went down after that. So Rosie took to Twitter yesterday afternoon, January 29th, around 3 p.m. my time, and she shared this tweet and screenshot and several other screenshots, okay? So the first tweet said, I commented this on Emily's Instagram publicly about the fake cat screenshot because I stand behind it. Amberlynn Reed was in my DMs within 20 minutes. a thread, hashtag girl world, hashtag Amberlynn Reid. And the comment from Quirkyloverosee says, this is honestly really gross to do to Rarity. Some people really need to touch grass. You've broken up with Amber. At this point, girl world needs to leave you alone. Literally, what else can you do? You did the thing they claim they wanted. This is just so wrong and mentally deranged. Just so you know, most people online are sharing that sentiment, whether they like you or not. This seems like an isolated weirdo looking for girl world clout, which honestly, I would agree. I would agree. And I think, like many people pointed out, like Tommy is probably best off just like literally logging off or like putting her account on private, which she did, things like that. Like for her to sit here in the weeds and DM people and things like that. I mean, like to some extent, I think she opened herself up to that. She literally was responding to just about anybody who would DM her, it seemed like. So I get why people were doing it. But I think if she were to just shut everything down, like people would move on fairly quickly if they realized they weren't going to get a response from her, you know? So I do think Tommy should do that. I mean, the difference between like Tommy and Feline, I mean, Feline did a really good job of like keeping her presence offline for the most part. And she really pieced the fuck out and we haven't heard from her since. There is a difference there because Feline had much less of a like online carbon footprint to some extent, you know? But like, I think Tommy could get close to that if she wanted to, if she really wanted to. I think the problem is that she's probably going to find her way into some other SSBBW DMs at some point. So I'm sure she's gone for now, but not for long. But I do think she has some control over that. So anyways, I guess what ended up happening is Miss Amberlynn Reid said, let me go and let Rosie know what's up. And so Rosie said, she is fuming that I followed an account that I knew would be private. And I was right. Tommy went private about an hour before these messages. What I will say about that, okay, real quick, what I'll say about Rosie following this account because she knew that Tommy was gonna go private. One part of that implies that, you know, she loves the mess and she wants to be a part of the mess and she wants to be able to keep up with the mess even if Tommy goes private. That's one thing to just like keep up here, store in your brain. The other part of this though is that Tuesday, January 28th, I was streaming on Twitch and I hadn't yet, or I had that morning posted my video about the breakup, right? And so some people were asking me some questions about the breakup and stuff like that in my Twitch chat before we got to the reaction stuff. And I was looking at Tommy's account and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I follow 5 people who also follow Tommy. One of them being Amberlynn Reid, another one being Willow Davis, another one being Megan from the 1,000 Pound Best Friends, another one being a certain NBC News journalist that may or may not have interviewed both me and Amberlynn. And then guess who the 5th one was? Quirkyloverosee. And I mentioned all of this in a Twitch live stream. It's so funny to me, Quirkyloverosee is like, I don't want to be in girl world anymore. I just clicked on Tommy Salami's Instagram to go make sure I knew what I was talking about when I said that she deleted all the pictures with Amberlynn. And it told me, I know 5 people that follow Thomas Salamis. One being Amberlynn, one being Willow Davis, one being Megan from 1,000 Pound Besties, one being the journalist that interviewed me and Amberlynn, and then the 5th one is Quirkyloverosee. And it's just like, girl, you want to be in girl world so bad. You want to talk about girl world so bad. I know you do, diva. So I'm not saying I have anything to do with any of this, but knowing Amberlynn Reid, it wouldn't surprise me if that was how Amberlynn became aware of Rosie following Tommy Salami. Cause you know Amber is tuned in. She's clocked in. She's my #1 fan, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's how she knew. I'm not saying there's not other ways she could have known. She could have also just simply been like really clocking in and paying attention to who was commenting on Tommy's posts and who wasn't and things like that. But I will say, I pointed that out on Tuesday. This happened Wednesday. So let's get into the actual screenshots of their conversation, shall we? So Amberlynn got into Rosie's DMs and said, commenting on Tommy's Instagram, sticking up for her isn't going to make her slide into your DMs. Weren't you the one warning me about Tommy? Girl, bye. Which, so much to unpack just with that. First of all, a big part of this is that Rosie was very apt months ago to warn Amberlynn about Tommy. Just so you know, that will come up later when we're having a conversation about Miss Rosie. She's kind of like, I do really respect that she has left feederism behind. I think that that's like such an important story and she can really speak to that. But she also very much does fancy herself as like a savior. And I think in some ways that's really helpful and important for her to be sharing that work and that information. And also, Rosie's messy, and Rosie was inserting herself in Amberlynn drama months ago and then abruptly stopped, okay? So when Amberlynn is here talking about Rosie warning her about Tommy, it's because Rosie literally was in her DMs trying to convince her to leave Tommy because of the feederism allegations. And in fact, I know that because Rosie sent me screenshots of all of their conversations in the DMs, okay? So Rosie responds to Amberlynn and says, yo, I promise you I don't want your girlfriend. I think the rarity message is nasty, which did seem to be the vibe I got from Rosie's comment. To me, it didn't seem like Rosie was trying to have any kind of relationship with Tommy. I think that is like such an outlandish fucking idea for Amberlynn to immediately jump to. Like, how jealous and unhinged do you have to be to think that like somebody simply making a comment that was actually not defending Tommy, but defending like the sanctity of your lost cat, okay? The sanctity of the cat that you lost and like the story that you've told your audience about the cat. So it's just wild that you would not be upset that maybe somebody is out there making up these like horrendous lies about you squashing your cat to death, okay? It's crazy that you're not upset about that, at least in this situation, and you're upset at Rosie for saying that that's a sick, nasty thing to lie about. And so you're like, oh my gosh, you must want to get some of this Tommy salami, you know? Well, I guess, I don't know, does Tommy salami have, well, she might have some kind of salami to offer, but not like, not like the innuendo salami I was implying. Amberlynn says, we aren't together anymore. It is. People are fucking psychotic. And then Rosie says, you're right, your ex. And Amber says, correct. And then Rosie says, Amber, the fact that you're more upset about this than the fact that the rarity message happened is wild. Why are you DMing me? Which is, again, the point I also just made. And then Amberlynn says, girl, two things can happen at once. Which I do agree. And would agree if there was anything about Rosie's message that actually seemingly implied that she wanted some of that Tommy salami, you know? But I don't think that's what Rosie's original message was implying. Rosie then says, I tell Emily to her face that I don't agree with her, but I'm not in her DMs, so it's up to her if she's in mine. Which, like, ooh, is she? Is she in Rosie's DMs? But anyways, Amberlynn says, she's not even in your DMs. You literally followed her. Like, what? And Rosie said, yeah, because I knew she would private, and she did. Your jealousy is wild, T. I don't want your ex, dude. Do you know how stupid I'd look? I'm anti-feederism. I don't want Emily. This combo is fucking weird. And Amberlynn said, what's the point in following her? And Rosie, queen of mess, who eats the girl world drama and gossip up, despite what she might say on the internet, Rosie says, to see her post breakup, following doesn't equal flirting. I'm 33 and act like it. work, okay? Props to you, mama. I don't know. Sometimes you don't. From what I've seen you demonstrate online, you're not always giving a mature 33, just for the record. And then I don't know where this is coming from Amberlynn. I don't know where she got this idea, and it seems like maybe Rosie is also kind of clueless about it. But Amberlynn says, you heard that she might slip in your DMs by a troll, and then you go follow her, and on top of that, comment on her page. Like, that's sus. That's so suspicious. And then I think Rosie was thinking that Amberlynn had a troll tell her that this happened. So Rosie's response was, since when do you trust trolls? Girl, you've at this for 11 years. You think you'd stop falling for their bullshit. And then Amberlynn says, I don't trust trolls. That's the point. I'm saying you fell for their bullshit and followed Tommy and hoped she'd slide into your DMs. So Amberlynn must have heard a rumor somewhere. She must have been on some forum, in some reaction channel, in some part of this corner of the internet where they were suggesting that maybe Tommy Salami was going to get into Rosie's DMs or something. Because it sounds like Amberlynn heard a rumor somewhere. And this is what happens with Amberlynn. When she hears something about somebody she doesn't like for whatever reason, she just runs with it and believes it. And it sounds like she believed somebody was out there saying that Tommy was gonna DM Rosie or something, and she ran with it and took the bait, and now she's arguing with Rosie, making an ass out of herself. Rosie goes on to say that she, really emphasizing how stupid it would look for her to date Tommy after all that we know about Tommy, right? So Rosie says, I cannot express how stupid I would look if I even entertained Emily. And then she shared a screenshot from a podcast she did, which did get like a ton of views. It's called Groomed into Feederism, and it's by a podcast called We're All Insane. And Rosie said, this is me. I don't fuck with feeders. I have no reason to entertain her, and I already, frankly, don't like that people connect me to you. But yet she's out here following Tommy and talking about Amberlynn on all kinds of platforms. So have fun being angry over nothing, dude. I'm over this combo. And that's the one thing that I will say. It's like, I don't think that Rosie really thinks that she has any shot with Tommy, nor does she want a shot with Tommy, nor does she want to associate with Tommy in that way. But it is very funny to me that Rosie in this argument is like, I don't want to be connected to you, but like does frequently talk about Girl World. And we'll talk more about that. It is funny to me in that way, because it's like, oh, you want to be separate from Amberlynn? You don't want people to make connections between you and Amberlynn, this, that, the other? Then I kind of would say, like, why are you following Tommy then? Like, why are you immersed in this world? If you're anti-feederism, why do you want to keep up with a feeder on the internet, you know? But I don't know, just some questions I ask myself. That doesn't make any of this any less messy. In fact, I just think it's so entertaining on both sides, if I'm being honest. Amberlynn says, girl, you did entertain her by following her and commenting the day after we broke up. It's giving desperate. Have a good day. Bye. I don't know that it's giving desperate. It's giving messy, if you ask me. In a tweet with more screenshots, Rosie says, apparently following someone and leaving a comment means I'm desperate and want to feed her. Tommy and I never DM'd. And then here are the additional screenshots. Rosie said, actually, and then sent this screenshot of somebody DMing her a post of hers on Instagram where Tommy had liked a video or something, which, like, I do think the point is that, like, people are indicating that Tommy has a history of being out here liking SSBBW women and things like that. Rosie says, look at the timestamp. I was sent this 2 minutes ago. Take that up with Emily. Take that up with Emily that she was out here liking my content. Amberlynn says, why do I give a fuck that she liked a video almost 3 years ago? LMAO. And Rosie says, 1.5 years ago, but I'm sure math isn't your strength. You are the one getting bitchy in my DMs about a comment like a teenager, Amber. Other SSBBWs are in her comments right now. I don't see you messaging them. Well, I don't know how you would know that unless you can peer into all of the other SSBBW DMs and their inboxes and things like that. I do appreciate that Rosie is pointing out that Amberlynn doesn't know how to do math, but I also still don't know what a screenshot from 1.5 years ago really matters, considering that Amberlynn was not in a relationship with Tommy at the time, so like, what does it matter? If Tommy was out here liking her pictures. And I'm guessing Amber really doesn't care, because Amber's been made aware of all the women that Tommy was doing this with. Actually, the only thing that I guess would be kind of sus about it is 1.5 years ago, I assume Tommy's late girlfriend would have still been, like, alive and in a relationship with her. So I do think maybe that's weird. Like, if you take issue with, like, that, maybe. But I don't know. Amberlynn says, yes, let's belittle each other. And Rosie says, all right, Gaslight Lynn, have the day you deserve. It is funny that she's like, yes, let's belittle each other, when, like, Amberlynn was the one that started this combo and started the back and forth. Just wild. And also shout out to Rosie for sharing the similar sentiments as me as have the day you deserve. I wonder where she heard that recently. I'm just saying that because I'm allegedly blocked and she doesn't follow me anymore. Amberlynn says, girl, there's no gaslighting happening right now. I just think it's odd that you are anti-Tommy so hard that you sent me novels, and then a day after we break up, you try to get her attention. It's weird behavior, and I wanted to call it out. I think that is fine. If Amberlynn would just have been like, hey, it's weird that you're so anti-Tommy and now you're following her. Like, what's that about? You were so concerned for me, and now you're following her. Like, I don't understand. But that's not how Amberlynn started this conversation, right? Amberlynn started this conversation out saying, how dare you think that you could have a piece of Tommy salami? You think supporting her in her comments is gonna make Tommy slide into your DMs? Tommy doesn't want you. It's like, girl, who said all that? Who said all that? And Rosie's last tweet in this thread was, I don't have fuck all to hide because my intent was to be nosy like the rest of the people that follow reaction content. I just don't hide behind troll accounts. Stay mad, dude. So yeah, let me just reiterate that I absolutely think that behavior is unhinged from Amberlynn, like absolutely unhinged. But now let's talk a little bit about Miss Rosie. Because my origin story with Miss Rosie is that probably 1 year or 2 ago, a couple years ago, I was in Vegas for my birthday. And I know the people that got so irritated every time I brought up Vegas are just so excited to hear me talking about Vegas again. Because there was like a 2-year time frame where I went to Vegas 4 different times. And a couple years ago, I went there for my birthday with a friend. And while I was there, during some of our downtime, I was just scrolling through my Instagram DMs, and I was looking. Oh, which, by the way, speaking of Instagram DMs, this is probably a little bit all over the place, but I do love that Amberlynn's like, I don't spend any time on Instagram, but I absolutely saw that you were commenting on my ex's posts and following her. Like, just really unhinged behavior. But anyways, I was looking through my Instagram DMs while I was in Vegas, and I have my DMs set up. I didn't set them up this way, so I guess it just naturally happens. But like, naturally, people who message me who have more followers show up at the top of my message requests. And Rosie has had a following for a long time prior to ever being on YouTube. Part of that is because she used to engage in like adult feederism content. And she had a huge following on Instagram. She used to just post these really long Instagram stories just constantly. And then it was when she left feederism behind that she went over to YouTube to try to start just like vlogging her life and having an online income that way. So all of that to say, she had messaged me and I saw that she had a lot of followers. I was intrigued because she had a lot of followers and we did some messaging back and forth. To be honest, my initial thoughts about Rosie is that she was nice, she was lovely. There were some times where she was also sending me some screenshots of things from Caleb, the late husband of Tammy Slayton. She was sending me some of his posts from Facebook. To be honest, I don't think I ever used any of that. I think I might have referenced some of those posts in videos, but I never used them because I, a long time ago, decided that like going to the Facebooks of people who were adjacent to people I covered was just like not something I wanted to do anymore. So we had gone back and forth quite a bit. I had talked to her quite a bit. I feel like I had a decent rapport with her. And I also, for a long time, really enjoyed watching her content on YouTube. Like, she was doing a lot of content about how she was going to therapy. She tried semaglutide or some kind of GLP-1. Mounjaro. She was doing Mounjaro. She was on and off Mounjaro for a while. She was doing healthy weight loss related content. She was talking about how she was working through her trauma from feederism. Talking about how she didn't want to do any like eating on camera because it felt too close to feederism. I was just really intrigued. I enjoyed her content. So then what I need you to do is to fast forward, because that happened in that was probably 2023 that I first started talking to her. And I feel like we had like a good, decent rapport back and forth every once in a while. Like, I didn't really have any intentions of ever covering her on my channel. I did do one reaction on Twitch because she made these air fryer hot dog chips that were really funny. She actually even was so excited about me reacting to it and reacted to my reaction in a live stream on her channel. But anyways, fast forward to this past summer, 2024, okay? Things are popping off in Amberlynn's life. People find out that she's dating Tommy, that Tommy has this history of feeder content on the internet. And simultaneously, we're also finding out all the details about Erica and Brittany. Well, when the Tommy news came out, obviously Rosie has a lot of connection to the feeder community on the internet. And so Rosie's very concerned. Rosie DMs all this stuff and information to Amberlynn. And then weirdly enough, comes immediately into my DMs and says, I just want to share this just between you and me. Like, please don't share this with anybody else. And then sends me screenshots of all of the conversations she had between her and Amberlynn. And then was frustrated because Amberlynn seemingly didn't care. And then Rosie was going on and on and on and on about how, like, she wasn't sure if she wanted to talk about it publicly. And at that point, Rosie had recently started talking about and been talking about on her channel how she didn't like the comparisons that were made between her and Amberlynn. And so I gave her some really sound advice at the time, which was, hey, you said you'd keep this conversation between you and Amberlynn, and also you've been saying that, like, you don't want connections made between you and Amberlynn on your channel, that you want to stand alone and separate from Amberlynn on your channel. I think it's probably a bad idea to talk about this in a video. And I told her, I think if you make this public video about it, you're gonna go back on the boundaries that you set for yourself when it comes to making content about Amberlynn and Chantal. Rosie, of course, did not take my feedback on that. And Rosie actually did make content about it. And let me also say, because I just was rereading through some of the messages, Rosie talked about how, like, triggering some of this was for her, how mentally exhausting it was to confront a lot of the feeder stuff again for her. And I said, you know, if this feels like it's something that's so mentally taxing to you, like, I think that's even a better reason to not, like, bring this into YouTube, into this community that you've created, where you've set boundaries for yourself, where you're trying to separate yourself from Amberlynn Reid. So anyways, all of that then leads into my next point, which is the stuff with Erica and Brittany was going on. And if you don't remember, Brittany messaged me, and I did not take any of it seriously, but Brittany messaged me about how Amberlynn was having an affair with Erica, like a full 9 months before any of this came out publicly. And so in the video where I was addressing the DMs that Brittany sent me, I also just talked about in general how frustrating and annoying it can be to have people think that they can just DM me and have me, one, believe anything that they say, and two, want me to be some keeper of information, want me to hold on to secrets for them. And in that video, I used Rosie as an example. Came up recently, just this week, because a YouTuber named Quirkyloverosee, she came out with this big, long live stream about feederism regarding Amberlynn'S partner and this, that, the other. Before she did any of that, she sent me all the screenshots of her conversation with Amberlynn, which, by the way, she said to Amberlynn, I'm gonna keep this conversation between us, and then immediately DM me the screenshots. And I immediately said to Rosie, because she was like, Zach, I'm telling you all this because I know you'll keep this in between the two of us. And I said immediately, don't ever DM me with stuff that you want me to keep private, because that's so unfair to me. It's so difficult to sit here and be a keeper of secrets for people. And interestingly enough, it was a day or two later, Rosie decided she was done with Girl World. So she tweeted this, but she also, I think, put this on her community tab on YouTube as well. But she tweeted whenever this happened, shortly after I called her out for being in my DMs about Amberlynn. And she said, I'm doing what I should have done ages ago, currently cleaning up YouTube interests. I have a couple people I've kept on, but depending on how it goes, I may reevaluate. This week has been too much. There was a time where the content served a purpose for me. That's long past. And then there's just a brief screenshot here of the different things that she's muted on Twitter so they don't pop up. Funnily enough, she's still tweeting about Amberlynn, but some of the examples are #FoodieBeauty, #GirlWorld, ALR, Amberlynn Reed, Breezy, Chantal, Foodie Beauty, Girl. She also goes on to say, I don't want to come across like I think people are bad for staying interested in this content. Nothing like that. I have just had this feeling for a while. I've wanted to walk away but did not know how. Felt too hard, more overwhelming to try and clean up my feeds. But honestly, I scrolled my timeline for the first time in a long time and felt free. Happy. Lots of nice art. My other interests shining. Girl World is so toxic. It helped me see some of the errors of my old ways, but I've had this feeling for a while now that I've been ignoring. It doesn't make me feel good, ever. It's like a really shitty, messy reality TV show. A massive time suck, and for what? To watch two really shit-ass humans succumb to their demise? To feel better about myself in comparison? I'm honestly over it. So after the discussed actions on the part of Erica, being a Girl World member or by association with her wife, willing to do such disgusting psychological abuse for a laugh? A goof? Disgusted isn't even the word. It broke my heart. Not for ALR, but that humans like Erica exist. I said in my last live where I found this shit out that I might just delete my Twitter because I didn't know how to handle it. I kept up with the developments, but I'm out. I had shit to say when it came to the feederism of it all, but staying in as a spectator while also being a creator just isn't working for me. It keeps bleeding into my lives because I can't help myself from answering the questions asked. But I've unfollowed and unsubbed from a lot of people I like, and some I thought I liked before I saw their true colors. I'm on a bit of a thread rant, but I just wanted it to be known that I've been opinionated, snarky, etc. And I may still see things from time to time, but as of right now, I'm taking a dramatic step back. I meant it when I said I didn't want to align with certain content. And I thought I could juggle being a viewer and also not making it a part of my content, and I've been struggling with that in recent history. My eyes were open today to what length people will go for internet clout and beef, and I want nothing to do with it. Peace and love. And listen, that's not to say that, Rosie can't change her mind. I certainly, once upon a time, took a break from Amberlynn content. I certainly get it. I certainly think if you need a break, do it. But it feels just very interesting to me that she has gone to such great lengths. I mean, she's made entire videos about it on her channel, about not wanting to be compared to Amberlynn and this, that, the other, wanting to separate herself from Girl World. In fact, also in a members-only live stream, which has now been deleted, and unfortunately nobody got the clips, but they did tell me about it. She actually went on a rant about me, too, and talking about how she felt like I wasn't the person that she thought I was and this, that, the other, which she's welcome to have that opinion. But it all came right after I, publicly critiqued her for sliding into my DMs, okay? So this is the kind of thing I just want to point out, is that Rosie loves to talk about Girl World when people agree with her, when people are on her side. And to be honest, I didn't even think really that her DMing me all that stuff was a huge character flaw. It's something I would have continued to look past. I would have continued to enjoy her content. But it's all of her actions and behavior since, because the reality is that yes, you can take a break from content and come back to it, but she never really has. She, in fact, does frequently talk about Chantal and Amberlynn in her live streams. And that's really just one example of the ways that she, contradicts boundaries and things like that she sets up for herself. For instance, when I first started watching her, she had big rules about not eating on camera because it felt too close to feederism to her. But now, all she does is live stream where she cooks and she eats. It's the majority of her content. And it's also interesting because she made a big deal about, not wanting to make a whole video about these messages from Amberlynn because she didn't want to monetize it. But she did, in fact, talk about all of this in a live stream yesterday. And there were a few things that I saw in some clips on Twitter from her live stream that I thought were interesting. One of the things I discovered is that on her Discord that she has for her community, they have a Girl World discussion channel.
Oh, Kimmy, in our Discord, we have a Girl World gossip channel.
So again, it's hard to believe that she's really, separating herself from Amberlynn's content. In one clip, she defends herself by saying that she is purposely, chronically single. But that's not quite the truth, Ellen.
Y'all know I'm, chronically single on purpose. I followed because I knew that account was going to go private. And an hour before Amber, went off on me, the account went private.
And that's really interesting to me because there was this guy in her live streams once upon a time named David.
I'll just take this down. I'll repeat it later. Y'all know David in the chat? Yeah, that's the motherfucker I'm talking about. Hi, David.
We're under the assumption that he's going to tune in sooner or later.
You want to get involved in my community and make this a whole fucking thing and lie about everything you are? Hi, David.
And there's also a guy named Mayhem.
So, Mayhem, I don't know how to say this. If you're, for real, you can I've got a bunch of social media platforms on my Linktree. You can reach out to me on one of your established profiles and we can chat. And I can see, but it's going to take a lot more than a anonymous YouTube comment. And I don't really... I have trust issues, so... Just going to keep that 100 with you. He's cute, Vicky. T. But... vibes are more important than looks to me. So...
And both of these guys were guys that were, chatting her up in her live stream. And both of those potential relationships just turned out bad for her. So I don't know. I guess I just wanted to share all of that to say that certainly appreciate Rosie for the entertainment and seeing just how sad, miserable, and unhinged Amberlynn is. getting jealous over somebody that clearly isn't even remotely interested in Tommy. But I did just want to let you all know a little bit about Miss Rosie herself as well. Anyways, this ended up being a much longer video than I was anticipating, but I had so much fun today. So if you're brand new to my channel and you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe down below, hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!